I can't drive anywhere without permission? Okay, I'll follow that rule. Maliciously. This happened when I was 16 years old and just got my driver's license. My parents had me run to the store to pick up some groceries. I stopped by my friend's house on the way back home for maybe 5 minutes to show him I got my license and I was out driving alone. It was a really fun moment in the life of a 16-year-old. My stepmom Mary Ann freaked out. We did not give you permission to drive to Bill's house. We told you to go to the store and that is all. I told Mary Ann and my dad that they had let me drive to Matt's house the day before, so I didn't think it was a big deal. They went unreasonable and laid down the unbendable rule that set up the malicious compliance. You are not allowed to drive anywhere we do not give explicit permission for you to drive. Period. End of sentence. Just because you were allowed to do it previously does not ever give you permission another time. Ever. Fast forward 3 days later. My 13-year-old stepsister has been a jerk to me all day, and I'm sick of her BS. She goes quiet for about 30 minutes and then comes out all sticky sweet. Hey Brian, it's time to take me to ballet. I have taken her to ballet 3 days a week since I got my license. It's basically one of my chores. But I see my opportunity to say screw you to all 3 of them at once. Sorry, Tina. I'm not allowed to take you to ballet. The parents didn't tell me to take you, and I don't want to get in trouble. She screams, she cries, she begs, she threatens. She calls her mom and leaves a message. She calls my dad and leaves a message. Just like Steve Miller says, time keeps on slippin', into the future. I'm not sure I'm brave enough to hang on to the bitter end and actually go through with it. I'm shaking, but I know I've got them dead to rights. No call back from the parents and the clock goes on past the start of her class. Stepmom comes home and Tina runs to meet her. Tina, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be at ballet. I hear Tina tell her rendition of the story, leaving out how miserable she had been, and they go back and forth. Mary Ann comes pounding down the hall and yells, as God is my witness, you just wait till your father gets home. I had to stifle a laugh because I never really believed people actually said that. An hour later Dad comes home and the 2 of them go running out to meet him and tell him how horrible I was. I wait in my room for the hammer to fall. About 10 minutes later my dad calls down the hall, Brian, would you please come here and talk to us? Well, Brian, you did it. What do you mean, Dad? You got us all, and there's absolutely nothing we can do about it. Okay, let's make this reasonable for everyone. And they did. They agreed that they were over the top. They recognized that Tina isn't always very nice to me, and they spoke to her about that. I was allowed to have reasonable freedom if I was driving somewhere, since I had good grades and had never been in trouble. I walked down the hall back to my room, my back to my parents, with the world's biggest grin on my face.
Now to the comments. I was kind of hoping the story was that they specifically told you to go to the store but didn't specify that you were to come back home, so you sat in the store parking lot for hours.
That sounds like the escalation, the logical next step.
Called a bluff like that once spent 2 nights sleeping in the driveway. Oh, that's perfect. At least the dad recognized he ducked up.
I legit pray I'm going to be that level-headed when I'm a dad of a teenager. Being willing to admit mistakes is something I hope I will do often.
My boys are 18 months apart and already drastically different from each other at 4 and 5. I can't imagine teens yet lol. Maybe once I'm 30 the thought won't be as harrowing. Wow. That was not the ending I was expecting as I started reading your story. I'm glad your dad and stepmother saw your, quite reasonable, I think, point of view. Sounds like your dad had your back, too.
As a dad myself, he probably got a kick out of it and was proud more than anything.
Not a dad yet, but I can attest to my father trying his dangdest to hold his composure when being told what I or my brothers when following a new rule given in a fit of anger. My mother laughs about it now, but goddamn were we the crafty smart ass he wanted us to be. I told my kids that if they ever do something wrong / break something that as long as they don't lie to me they would not be punished. Fast forward a few months and one of my kids broke a window. I was fuming, but she came to me and before I asked, she said she broke the window and it was an accident. Duck. So, I thanked her for being honest, sent her to her room to watch TV and had to eat my anger.
You're a great parent. Thank you.
The battle in my house was over passengers. I could go out for a drive any time I liked, so long as I was home on time and that I wasn't driving around with people I hadn't told my parents about. She was strict about it, too. I once got grounded for driving my coworker home when her car wouldn't start. Then we had a power outage, and both my brother and I slept late. As I'm eating breakfast in an attempt to make myself late enough to miss all of first period, I get an idea. My brother always took the bus to hang out with his friends, and being driven around by your embarrassing older brother is so not cool, so mom didn't know I'd be driving him. Me, hey, bro. You want to stay home today? Bro, sure, but mom will kill me. Me, not, she'll blame me. Just you wait. So I call mom's work. Voicemail, she's on another call. I ring my stepdad's, he's out and can't be reached. Great. Me, it's done, bro. Go back to bed if you want, I gotta leave or I'll be late for second period. Just don't answer the phone. That night at dinner was tense. Mom wanted to know why I didn't drive bro in, though she framed it as I know you're not his keeper, but I out and out admitted to telling him to go back to bed. Mom, why would you do that? Me, I couldn't reach you for permission to drive him, and he looked tired. The look on her face was scary. Mom, he's your brother. He's not some random person I don't know. Me, you know all my friends and co-workers, and I can't drive them either. I was expecting to be told I was grounded, but instead she just sort of sputtered for a second before telling me we'd have to discuss this later. Never actually did, but she also never witched at me for driving home co-workers or teammates again.
You got grounded for helping a coworker who needed help? Wow. That's the complete opposite of what you're supposed to teach your child. I love your malicious compliance though. Well done. Sometimes parents tend to forget that raising children isn't only about educating them, but also about educating yourself.
Being an old person these days I can see her logic. The co-worker was a young, attractive woman. I'd been spending a lot of time tutoring her, and her mother's house was right down the street. Couple that with the fact I was over an hour late, well, instant conviction. Grounded. Her father's house on the other side of town and my dirty hands from trying to fix the car before driving her never even entered into my mother's mind. Yes. Glad your dad recognized you got them good and instead of blowing up / being punitive, he realized they had been unreasonable and adapted. Good job on your dad.
Solid father tbh. I would say he would still be good if he was mad at first but then heard the reason as to why and was cool after that, but the fact he recognized it is amazing.
This is a weird world. I had older friends and family that literally drove me to work when I was 15 so I could save up and buy a car at 16. Bought my two-colored POS Ford for $1,200. Dad was pretty proud when he signed the title. Rules. Or the car is gone. Answer when I call you, no excuses. Keep your grades up, stay out of trouble. You better keep a job, 16 and literally forced to work now or the car gets taken, bittersweet for sure. Grades definitely suffered because the restaurant industry takes no prisoners. Be home by 8 every weeknight. Give my parent the insurance money every month. We're talking 2004 money here. I was added to the family plan and I had to pay the difference in from the old rate to the new rate. Which was a lot. I'm still salty about this 17 years later. I made $5.15 an hour. Car insurance was $200 a month for full coverage. I worked my ass off. Even holding 2 jobs in the summer because of labor laws. I lived 20 miles from work. I was pretty broke but I could afford insurance and gas and that was about it. Day I turned 18 the car was signed over to me. I dropped off the family insurance. Went straight to my own and straight to liability. Went from $200 a month to $50 a month. Got rear-ended a month later and got an $1,800 check from their ins. Sold the beater and banked the check. Put that down on my first motorcycle. Rest is history. And yes, I realized fast that first year I would have paid more in insurance than I bought the ducking beater for. And constantly moaned about this. I paid $200 a month for a 90 HP 5-speed rust box while my sister paid $75 a month for full coverage in a slushbox Dodge Neon that would suck the paint off my car. She was 3 years older. I was pissed. Then my younger sis jumped on the fam plan and had nothing but praise about how cheap her insurance was. Still to this day I wonder if I was extorted by my parents or if insurance companies literally hate 16-year-olds driving rusty Ford Escort manuals.
Are you male? In countries where it's not legally considered sexist discrimination, teenage boys are charged significantly more by insurance companies than teenage girls, as statistically teenage boys are the most likely people to crash their car. When they changed the rules in the UK to make charging boys more than girls illegal, the cost of girls' insurance went up to match a teenage boys'. That's still a terrible finical decision by your parents, and forcing you to pay for expensive insurance when it's your car and your money and you want cheaper insurance is ridiculous.